If anybody was afraid that democracy would be upended, we are watching it today. Joe Biden did not capitulate to this to give Kamala Harris a leg up. He's had 3.5 years to do that. Before we preach to anybody else about how democracy and a republic should go, we got to get ours straight. And the Democrats, all they wanted to talk about leading up from the Biden campaign was the threat from Trump for democracy. No, they're the threat.
They held a primary. People, they had ballots. They filled out circles. They went to the voting booths. They spent money on advertisements. And as President Trump said, the Republican Party spent tens of millions of dollars running against Joe Biden. Now they just woke up one morning and said, never mind, we're canceling the entire primary. We're getting rid of our candidate and we're pretending the election has never even happened and we're gonna let donors handpick a new nominee.
Is it a coup against Joe Biden?
Sort of, yeah.
I think it is. I mean, look, there's a constitutional process, the 25th Amendment. If Joe Biden can't run for president, he can't serve as president. And if they want to take him down because he's mentally incapable of serving, invoke the 25th Amendment.
That JD Vance is really paying off ever since I endorsed him. I just start to talk, I look over, he finishes my sentence, and he sounds so Harvard about it. He went to Harvard, but he's also a hillbilly. Sorry, Jordan, but that was so funny to turn over to JD Vance to say some utter BS about the 25th Amendment. You have to, no, man. A guy can decide to not run for president anymore. That is perfectly legal. You cannot obligate him to run for president. And I love the switch around, and nothing could be even more indicative of how much the right has gone from Joe Biden is a criminal mastermind who is absolutely locking up his political opponents to there's now a coup on Joe Biden. Take a look at some of the smattering of tweets. David Sachs, just this morning, Biden's campaign chair said he wasn't leaving the race. Then Biden suddenly posts a resignation letter with no address to the country. Reeks of a coup. Jack Posobiec, it's a coup. Gosar, the coup is complete. Yes, yeah, good. I'm glad the modern day Klansmen are in agreement of it.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
There's also threats of lawsuits. Speaker Mike Johnson, I just don't see how this is legally possible. Take a look, he's gonna explain it.
These elections are handled at the state level. Every state has its own system, and in some of these, it's not possible to simply just switch out a candidate who has been chosen through the small d democratic process over such a long period of time. 14 million Democrats voted to make Joe Biden the nominee. So it would be wrong, and I think unlawful in accordance to some of these states' rules, for a handful of people to go in a back room and switch it out because they don't like the candidate any longer. That's not how this is supposed to work. So I think they would run into some legal impediments in at least a few of these jurisdictions, and I think there'll be a compelling case to be made that shouldn't happen. And so I think they've got legal trouble if that's their that's their intention and that's their plan.
Jordan, it's a lot of words, and all I hear is it's just like I can't hear the point through the tears.
It's rich, obviously, hearing them complain about the democratic process, especially from people like Mike Johnson, who was a key player in the run up to January 6th and has since defended it. So spare me that. Just what are you doing here? Jack Posobiec, same thing. He was there with
Paul Gosar.
Alex Jones. Yeah, give me a break. What they're doing is spiraling because they built their entire campaign around Joe Biden being a weak candidate, Joe Biden being a weak president. They were doing windmill dunks on a Fisher-Price hoop, and now swapping out Biden with Harris raises the rim by a foot, and they're having a meltdown. They think it's unfair. No, Trump, we'll get into it more, but Trump is complaining that it's fraud because he's scared. He knows all of those attacks that they have been levying against Biden will now be turned on him. We saw that with that clip from CNN earlier. He's now the oldest candidate. Questions about his age, his mental aptitude are going to be present because she's sharper, she's younger, she's more intelligent, she's more competent. Again, not saying she's perfect, but it is funny to watch immediately how the table spins, and all of a sudden it's unfair because they thought they were going to breeze to victory, especially after last week. They were spiking the football. They thought the campaign was over. How could Joe Biden compete with that image? Okay, now you got a candidate 20 plus years younger. Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're threatening legal action. Mike Johnson, honestly, he's talking out of his ass. Like if I'm being honest, a lot of this is purely the same kind of stuff that the Heritage Foundation dreams up, right? It's the Heritage Foundation's looking into it. And just because the Heritage Foundation, again, the authors of Project 2025, just because they're looking into things doesn't mean it's going to happen. We all remember 2020 and the dozens of cases that the Trump campaign brought, claiming that there was election fraud, claiming that the votes were being secretly switched in a scheme called Italy-gate. None of them panned out. They lost in every step and every turn. And I understand there are people who think this could go all the way up to the Supreme Court. Like, on what basis? The Democratic National Committee hasn't even met. The delegates have not voted. Joe Biden is not the nominee officially, and now you got Republicans like, but you need to be fair to him. This is not fooey. Like that's all it is. It is pure tantrums. Election expert Rick Hassan said there's no reason Democrats shouldn't be able to put up a different candidate. There's no credence to it. So we're gonna hear a lot of this in the days to come.
When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?